Guys, behind me is Barry Young, or an AI version of. Behind me is an AI version of Barry Young. We're going to have an update on this folk hero now, and he's a living folk hero. If you haven't heard of him, stay tuned. This is going to blow your mind. If you have heard of him, you want to see where he's going and what's happening with the current court case, that too is probably going to blow your mind. So stay on. But we're going to start with Troy Anthony's tribute to the Great Oosterhouse, and this is called Big Beautiful Hands. And this is to do with his skill of reviving babies that were born blue and getting breath back into them and bring them back into life. So this is why he inspired by this song. So enjoy. This is Big Beautiful.
Big beautiful hands, breathing life to the new. As the baby cries, a true thank you. With a big smile and that gentle glow, he always knew. Just because you all say that when the room goes still, you reach right in and you make it heal. Big beautiful hands shine for the whole world. Big beautiful hands, soft as a prayer. You held someone's whole world in the palm of your hands, held someone's whole life's plans in those big beautiful hands. In trouble with opera, standing in line with a glint on his teeth and a wink in his eye. Good doc in the 83 too, holding it with me and you, talking true on the club, so all blue bees know. You all say that when the flower goes still, you reach right in and you make it bloom. Big beautiful hands shine for the whole world. Big beautiful hands, soft as a prayer. You held someone's whole world in the palm of your hands, held someone's whole life's plans in those big beautiful hands. Now talking truth on the clove, every scar tells grace, every tiny breath found a safer place. And when the night got long, you stayed right through, no words too small for what you do. You all say that when the propaganda looms, you reach right in and you make it real. Big beautiful hands shine for the whole world. Big beautiful hands, soft as a prayer. You held someone's whole world in the palm of your hands, held someone's whole life's dreams in those big beautiful hands. Big beautiful hands. You see the truth there.
We might be experiencing a little bit of trouble tonight because we have a what those who oppose us would see as a highly volatile guest. Maybe that's the best way to put it. So we're all having difficulty.
A special guest. Yeah, I'm on my laptop. My computer's died, but
Yeah,
but it's
I'm on
yeah,
Starlink. I've got dodgy. And so we'll see from there. So anyway, so we're going to bring Barry Young in. Is there anything you want to say before we bring him in, Paul? Because you were a part of this story.
Yeah, well, it seems like a dream, but several years ago, I got a call from Liz Gunn and then a couple of new people I'd never met before, who were, and it was a whistleblower called Winston Smith at the time, and
That's right.
and I was told that there was this data set of New Zealand, and I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it, and we had real hopes that revealing the truth would end the madness. So let's see how it's going. Let's get there.
Before we go on, the Blonde Pimpernel, if you're watching, can you email your songs back to me at michael@cafelockout.com or cafelockout@gmail.com? I can't find your email, mate. So I know you sent me a lot of songs. I can't find them. So if you can send me through Blonde, that'd be great. Okay, let's bring in the man. Here he is.
Hello.
So to see you, Barry.
Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
Oh, pleasure, man. Yeah. Well, first off, I have to say, I'm glad you're still with us. I'm glad you're not suicidal. There's a lot of people who get close to the sun and they vanish and they suddenly go, you know?
Yeah.
So that is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not AI.
You're not AI. You've had a shave.
And I'm not. I did, especially for this. Yeah. So aren't you lucky? So, Dr. Oos and the Hoos, good to see you.
Thank you. Same here, Barry. Yeah. So I was starting off to say I got this call. I got this call from this whistleblower in New Zealand, and it was my great. Winston Smith.
Winston Smith. Yeah.
And I recall very like today flying out to New Zealand, driving in those crazy windy roads to this remote farmhouse where we sat and where we met, you know.
Yes. I was actually scared
epic,
from here.
Wasn't it? It was epic.
Yeah, I was actually scared from here. I thought he's going to go to Oost is going to be in jail. I'm going to have a big free Oost, you know, a big thing. And
I would hope it does better than Reiner, because Reiner's been. He's still being hammered.
The Germans have got a spotty record for justice and human rights.
Well, why don't we start at the beginning, Barry, for those who haven't heard?
Yeah. Okay.
And why don't you start? Just start from the beginning because to me, the reason why I think you're so incredible is basically if you decided to shut up, oh, well, it's not my job to look, you know, no one would have ever heard of you and this great truth would be missing. And you must have known before you revealed it that there was going to be consequences heading your way. And to me, that is incredible courage. And that's why they can't, it doesn't matter what they do to you now, you're already reached legendary status as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
So
Thank you for saying
let's start there. How did you end up in front of all this data?
Well, I was just going to say nobody expected the Spanish Inquisition, and I didn't expect the SWAT team to turn up to my door, to be honest with you. I didn't think it was going to be that bad. And did you know, fun fact, it's 993 days ago today that this happened, that I was SWAT teamed. So if you'd waited another week, it would have been the big 1,000 days since my arrest.
Wow.
And I'll just quickly put that into some sort of perspective for you. So it hasn't gone to trial yet. There's no sign of a trial date. Probably for a few years down the track, if I'm not found to be a whistleblower. So that this is it. This is the thing. So I'll give you some context here. The great trials in criminal history. Not that I put myself in the same category, but just to give you an idea. So we've got Al Capone. From the date of his arrest to the date his trial started, 123 days. O.J. Simpson, 221 days. David Bain, who's a New Zealand case, 321 days. Oscar Pistorius, 382 days, John Wayne Gacy 412 days, and Saddam Hussein 676 days, Timothy McVeigh 736 days. So this has been 993 days and counting, and still no trial. So it's, I'm heading up there. I'm heading towards some kind of record here with New Zealand Justice.
Is there anyone in front of you? Is there anyone left in front of you?
I don't know. People are. I think there's a few people who want to claim that they have had a longer trial, but yeah, it's certainly dragged on a bit, hasn't it?
Oh, that's incredible.
It is.
They don't want you in court.
Yeah, I know that's part of the process is the punishment, and I get that. But in honesty, I can see that the New Zealand justice system is so strained at the moment. It's like the health system as well. You can see it all over the world. It's places are struggling to cope, and New Zealand justice system is the same. And when I go to these call-overs and court dates and what have you, it's just an absolute joke what goes on. The justice system is so inefficient, and it must be so close to collapse. And I just want to say hello to the New Zealand police who are undoubtedly watching me now.
Hi guys.
So hopefully hi guys. Hopefully this doesn't turn up in evidence at some stage.
But they love recording our show, Barry. They love it.
Well, they were so desperate to get anything on me. They sent me some Steve Kirsch interview that he did with Tucker Carlson. I was like, that's evidence they're going to use against me. What's going on here? It was just, yeah, they're desperate. They're just clutching at straws. So that's probably one of the reasons why it's taking so long. And yeah, to give you a bit of background context for those who don't know me, I was a government worker, had my head down. I was very, very technical, very hands-on, behind the scenes kind of guy. Just worked at a desk, avoided meetings and all sorts of stuff. I didn't want to be in front of people. I was like, I love my work, I love my computer. Built a database for Health New Zealand where I was working that had on it vaccine. It was a payment system, but it held important vaccine data, like when they were vaccinated, the kind of vaccine it was, the dose number, date of birth, and date of death. Now that system was essentially a financial system, a vaccine payment system that was just ramped up in a very short space of time, because we were just desperate to get this thing going and make sure we had a functioning system that we could pay providers for the work that they were doing. And at the time, I was fully on board with it. I believed in the vaccine. I thought, this is great. This is going to save lives, and we're going to get the job done, and everyone's going to be safe and happy again and get their lives back to normal.
So you were a part of that fight. You were part of the team fighting to save the world.
I was a government employee, and that's what you've got to realize. I was a very, very high up, trusted, extraordinarily high up level of access in the government to see data that nobody else would be allowed to see. Even the Director General didn't have the same access as me to the data. So I was a very important person in that organization. And they wouldn't have given me that job if I was a conspiracy theory nut job. I hid my tinfoil hat well. I'm joking. No, I wasn't. I was fully on board with it.
Yeah, that's great.
But as time went by, this is how life changes you, because as time went by, I didn't agree with the mandates of the lockdowns and all that sort of stuff. I started to ask questions about the origin of the virus when they were saying, it came out in a market, and there was so much evidence that it didn't. Like the Wuhan Institute of Virology, right next door to the place where it originated. It's like, hello, nobody asking questions about this. Alarm bells going off. Maybe they were studying bat coronavirus at the time. So it's like just basic critical thinking that you went through a process and you thought, okay, well, that doesn't fit. And the next thing that I disagreed with were the mandates that were trying to force people to get vaccinated, and especially young kids and that. And I knew that children and young adults had a vanishingly small chance of getting really sick from COVID. And yet they were forcing them to get vaccinated just to keep their jobs so that they could work and put food on the table. I so disagreed with that, but that was my own personal opinion. That was my politics. And I could live with it. I live with it. I didn't agree with it, but I lived with it. But as time went on, I'm looking at this data, this pay per dose database, and Paul thinks it's pay per dose. Oh, you did initially, right?
It took me days to work out what he was saying. He said paper dough, paper dough. Okay, I kept nodding. Yeah. What the hell's a paper dough?
Pay per dose. So it's basically a transaction database where you got $35, $40 per shot. That's what it was worth to the pharmacies who were giving out these shots.
So it's $30 a shot. It was worth
35. It was back then. It was about $35 a jab, and it was more on public holidays and after hours and stuff like that. It was a whole financial system set up around it. And so yeah, as soon as the data started to come in, I started noticing patterns of deaths, clusters in the data, and that couldn't be explained normally. And because I had access to the data, and it was my duty, my lawful, legitimate role to look at the data, which the Crown are actually arguing against. They're saying, "Oh, you weren't allowed to actually look at the data." It's like, hang on a minute, that was my fucking job. So they're trying to deny me what my job was. But in fact, it was to scroll through data and see, just in case anomalies. For example, there were tons of production incidents in the first few weeks of rollout. With any big project, as you would imagine, you can't just like create this thing and not expect a few bugs not to be there. So there were a few incidents and problems right at the start, and so we were all hands on. We had to diagnose and analyze and fix them in very short spaces of time. So a lot of that was a lot of my time was looking at the actual raw data in time sequence. And that's where I saw, hang on a minute, there's a whole group of people who just died within a few days or a few months of the vaccine. And that shouldn't happen, because if you look at the data normally, if you scroll through like a spreadsheet of data, you would expect to see one death per 100 rows of people, not 12, not 20, not 30. And that's what I was seeing. That's a kind of extreme outliers that I was seeing. And this went on for a while. And the longer it went on, the more and more apparent it became. And then I thought, well, this is serious stuff. This is serious.
Yeah.
I have to try and do something about this. And not being aware of the Protected Disclosures Act or any sort of protections that I had at the time, which incidentally probably would never have made any difference at all if I had followed the rules to the letter, because I did come pretty close to following their procedure and the law of what a protected disclosure is, even though I wasn't aware of the act at the time. And that's what the whole court case is about. Part of the court case is whether or not I fit the definition of a whistleblower. Now, they're arguing that I don't, obviously, but if I analyze what it was I did, what we did, Paul, you, me, the others, we were allowed to do that according to the Act. A whistleblower is allowed to find out, to share, and see whether or how he could make a disclosure. And that was part of the process to see. Yeah. It's like, I'm not an epidemiologist. I couldn't see if this was real or if it was just imagining things and it was nothing to be concerned about. I had to go higher up and get eyes on it to see, oh yeah, this is bad. That's why I had to contact doctors and people like Dr. Paul and others, statisticians, and anyone who could help me to say, either A, you're imagining it and just go back to work and we'll all forget about it and just walk away, or B, yes, this is a cluster of epic proportions and we need to do something about this. And, you know,
didn't you go to the politicians first, though? Sorry to interrupt.
I did.
You actually,
I did. Yeah.
Went the proper channels first, and they didn't want to know.
Well, that's what I thought with the proper channels. I thought the most obvious people to me to make a disclosure to would be the MPs in Parliament. So that was one group of people who I did disclose to. The other group was legitimately the executive team at Health New Zealand, who, all the directors and whatnot. And that is actually the essence of all I had to do.
Yeah.
That was it. Send an email to your employers, saying what your concerns are, reasonable concerns. Send it to your boss, your manager, or the director, or the head of the organization. That's it. Job done. That's pretty much what a protected disclosure is. So it's a very small act. It's only a few pages, and it only concerns a few items, a few action points that I, as a disclosure, have to do, and that fit the bill. That was one of the key things. Sending an email to my managers and leaders, voicing my legitimate concerns. And the rest of it is the legal arguments. Are the concerns reasonable? Did it affect public health? Yes. Am I an employee of the organization? Yes. Am I allowed to make a disclosure? Yes. So all those boxes are ticked, but they're arguing against that, saying, oh, well, you made it in bad faith. It wasn't a reasonable belief that you had because you're a conspiracy theory nut job. And we don't like you anyway, so we're not going to allow you to have it. So basically, they're really struggling to find out to disqualify me from this, which is probably why it's taking so long.
Do you know what the meeting I'd like to be at? I'd like to be at the meeting when the New Zealand officials who put you in charge of all the data and you're unvaccinated actually met, say, the overlords and said, you did what? You didn't check his passport. You put an anti-vax.
No, they knew I wasn't, and I wasn't. That was my choice. Now I believe in personal choice. I did believe
that would
in the
not
vaccine,
have helped in that meeting. That would.
But I also believe in choice. Well, yeah. I mean, the guy who knew about it, my immediate manager, my supervisor, my team leader was as good as gold about it. We had chats about it constantly.
Wow.
We were one of the first, when this whole COVID thing came out at the end of 2019, so long ago, at the beginning of 2020, we were sitting in the office at Health New Zealand, and we were watching it unfold. It was just confined purely to China at the time, the provinces around Wuhan. And there was a graph. There was like this world chart of all the different provinces in China and their statistics, their numbers of cases. That was right at the start. And I remember talking to my team leader at the time, and we just sit around this screen and just watch the daily updates and think, this is going to blow up. This is going to be huge. And we both were on the same page on that. We knew this was going to be a worldwide thing. And sure enough, it was. But we were the only ones in their whole entire office who were aware of it. It was like we were just watching a bunch of non-player characters going about their daily lives, other workers, other employees at Health New Zealand, completely oblivious and unaware of it, what was about to unfold, what was about to happen. And boy, did it blow up. And then all of a sudden, they were all the experts, and they were telling me what to do. It's like, I saw this about 6 months before you guys did.
So you were like basically the lookouts at the front of the Titanic, going back into the Titanic, going, we're going to hit an iceberg, and they're just playing bingo, going, I got a full house, go away. And just basically, that's what you were. And then
I turned out to be the iceberg.
Yeah, I think he was the guy at the watch who said, oh, you see that ice on deck? We've hit an iceberg.
Yeah. I am the iceberg. Completely underwater, just a tiny little bit shown, but the ship smashed into it, and
it's extraordinary because it's just numbers. I mean, since when is the actual data of how many people got the shots, how many people died, when they died. If it was safe, if it was effective, if there was no issues with manufacturing, if there was no issues with it producing clusters, then why would they care? If it's safe, if they're doing their job, they would say, thank you, let's have a look at the data together, let us reassure you that what you're seeing is normal. But they didn't do that. They sent the stormtroopers. And to me that's very bad faith. That's very bad faith.
That's
as yourself, Barry,
which is another court case itself.
But as yourself, like you said, you're a background person, you like your computer, you like doing the work there. Suddenly you must be realizing I have to do something here. And there's a lot of people out there who've probably seen data in other countries and they've said, I don't care, I don't want to look. But something in you said, I can't do this. And it's easy to call you a conspiracy nut job, but forget all that because you were on board. Basically, you were seeing a truth that you just could not let vanish into the ether. You had to actually come forward.
Well, it's kind of like I didn't have any problem with doing what I did. Initially, I didn't want to be the person who was doing all this. My ideal scenario was that someone higher up, i.e. a politician, someone like Winston Peters or Liz Gunn, if she'd been elected, bless her heart, would have done the hard yards, would have done the heavy lifting for me, and I would have remained in the background. That was my ideal scenario. However, that didn't eventuate, and I was sort of like catapulted or thrust into a jail cell, and it's like, oh, you bad boy. But personally, I didn't have a problem with it. It's just because the way my brain works is like being technical and working with databases and computers and stuff like that. I love fixing problems. I'm a problem solver, and the thing with this project, it wouldn't have succeeded if I wasn't on board with it, doing all the fixes and fixing all all the bugs and whatnot, and making it work. And there were some huge problems. There were some huge issues, and fixing problems is something I get a real buzz out of. And this thing turned into a huge problem because it's caused, as far as I can tell, excess deaths. And I cannot say the vaccine caused all these excess deaths. But what I can say now is statistically, according to the data, if you've had the vaccine, you're 60% more likely to die. That is a statistical certainty, just about. So I can't say the vaccine is the cause of that, but I can say, having been vaccinated, you're more likely to die.
See, the thing, Barry, the data that you revealed, and like with Steve Kirsch's analysis, and see, one of the sneaky things is everyone thought that the deaths were going to happen early, and sort of like if you didn't die in the first 2 weeks, the first month, it wasn't going to be an issue. We didn't suspect early on that there was going to be more and more excess deaths, going out over several months, peaking and then decreasing. These were things we learned, but since that first analysis, we've got other data sets, record level data sets from around the world, including Japan and Czechoslovakia, the same pattern over and over again.
Yeah, it correlates so well. And I looked at the Czech data. I managed to download that and got it all translated into English, and I could do some work with that. And the patterns are remarkably similar to New Zealand. And the mortality rates are different because they're slightly higher due to lifestyle and whatnot. But the temporal proximity, that means the time to death after being vaccinated, is almost block for block exactly the same as New Zealand. It's incredibly similar.
Yeah,
you can just put the patterns of the charts one on top of the other. They just line up so perfectly.
See, a lot of
around the world.
a lot of the scientific papers, which is what they've snowed the people with, had these arcane rules where they said, "Oh, you're not vaccinated. You take the shot," and they say, "No, you're not vaccinated until 2 weeks later." And then if you died in those 2 weeks, they called you unvaccinated. And then you had people like President Biden saying, "We're going to see, a pandemic of the unvaccinated." The unvaccinated all happen to be vaccinated, well, nearly all vaccinated, because they put these what they call categorization error in, that no one questioned at the time. Your data set and those record level data sets, they don't have the statistical monkeying. They don't have this categorization error.
No, that's exactly right. And the thing is, doing some analysis, which, I found out later, basically studied how to be an epidemiologist, not just a DBA, like epidemiology 101.
Yeah, for dummies. Epidemiology for dummies.
Exactly. Which is kind of like where it is, because it's a statistics. It's kind of like a bull. I'm going to be careful here. I find that statistics isn't really pure maths. There's a lot of fudge around it and I think that's how professors and people like that make their careers, because there's a lot of debate about the numbers, which to me is that if you're mathematical, you should deal more with certainty and facts. But anyway, that's a side issue. So being an epidemiologist, doing some epidemiology analysis, you find out that there are a few tricks that they play, and it's to do with the way they analyze, the way they slice and dice the data. So to give you an example, epidemiology, they will only look at the first 3 weeks of time after being vaccinated. So if you're not dead within the first 3 weeks, it doesn't matter if you die after 3 weeks and 1 day. It doesn't count.
Yeah.
That time is still counted as living time, because that's a cutoff, the censor date of the study, right? So that's where it gets a little bit tricky here. So it means that if you died 3 weeks and 1 day and the study cutoff point was 3 weeks, you're still counted as alive. That's an immortal time bias, and it's not really accurately reflecting what the data is telling you. And that's what I sort of found out by looking at it myself, is that you need a good length of time between your doses, your last dose, and either a censor point, which is some date in the future, say 10th of October 2023, or the date that you died. So it's between your vaccination time and your date of death, or that end point in the future. And that's a true measure of person time. So it's not just 3 weeks, it's more like a year on average. So if you allow each person 1 year of time to either die or end the study, that's more accurate than just saying a cutoff period of 3 weeks or some shorter time. So that's just one example of how epidemiology and statistics can be skewed. And there are others as well.
Interesting question here. Statement from Robert Gillard. Yep. Fudge factor is a standard element in mathematics. I'm a university level mathematician. Yeah, Robert's a good guy. He's on our side.
Okay.
Thanks, Robert.
Excellent. Yeah. But I'm just basic level 6th form maths, A level from the UK, and all I needed to do my stuff was permutations and combinations, A level stuff, and using something called a Monte Carlo simulation, which is you don't have to look at Pfizer, you don't have to look at comorbidities or age groups or anything like that. All you're doing is basically looking at a site on a day and using an analogy of a deck of cards, a randomly shuffled deck of playing cards, to give you an example. There's one site which almost perfectly fit that description, where you had, say, I think it was 55 or 56 people vaccinated on that one day. A deck of playing cards has got 52, right? So of that 56, 24 of them died within a year, but 19 of them died in sequence. That was meaning they were vaccinated one after the other in time sequence order and died later on. So you've got that sequence of 19 out of 55. So the analogy is, as a playing cards, if you've got a randomly shuffled deck, you pick 19 black cards in a row. And it could be the first 19 or the last 19 or any number in between, but you have to have a sequence of 19 black cards in a row. Try doing that with a deck of playing cards.
Yeah.
You can't. It's impossible.
No.
I'll save you some time. You can't do it. And I asked the computer to do it. It's called a Monte Carlo simulation.
Yeah.
And this is about as much as my computer knowledge of programming and maths goes. You just feed it in some numbers, and it's basically just a one line of code. You give it the numbers, that the sequence, the total number within that cohort, and you say how many times can you get that sequence of 19, and it will do it 1,000,000 times. It will do 1,000,000 shuffles and 1,000,000 draws of the cards, and it will never find 19 in a row. And you can say, well, 10 million, 100 million. So the number is colossal. And that is my analogy of one site that correlates to a deck of, it makes it easy to understand. That's basically where I'm coming from. It's nothing to do with epidemiology or statistics and stuff like that. It's just basic maths, permutations and combinations. And that was one site out of dozens and dozens and dozens. And if you think that one site is maybe 1 in a 10 million chance of it happening, and there are 100 sites with almost exactly the same levels of combinations like that, what then are the chances of that being a random, a random event? So it's basically
Can I just
impossible.
read out this comment?
Yep.
Sorry, Barry. Michelle Adams. I hear this. This is my life. This is what I hear. Thanks, Michelle. My uncle was found dead in his bed 4 days after Pfizer. My friend's mother found dead in the bathroom 4 days later after Pfizer. I interviewed a guy. I put it up recently. He was going to take off on his motorbike around Australia because he was so lost. He had 2 twin uncles, identical twins, and they were scoffing at him about taking it. One of them died, basically, of the jab. And at the funeral, the other one said to him, "You were right. You're right." And then a few days later, he died. So this is where we're in. Even now, just the last few days, every day you wake up, 2 or 3, 18-year-old Taekwondo stars died in their sleep. I mean, we're in democide now. We're in a death camp. That's what I feel we're living in. It's really a death camp. It's just like in Schindler's List, I remember there was a scene where there was a young boy doing the saddle and he walked back to the camp hoping he wouldn't get shot. And then Ben Kingsley's character walked by and the boy was dead on the ground. And Ben Kingsley didn't even look down. It's just like, keep walking and hope it's not you. That's where we are now. They see these deaths come up. Just don't look. But that's where we're at. It's an astonishing place to be. And it's morally corrosive to the core because you're trying to stay upbeat, you're trying to not live in total despair, but it's actually happening. You cannot not see it, or I can't, and we can't, but others are cleverer than me and than that. But amazing story, Barry. Please keep going. I just wanted to get that in.
Yeah, well, hindsight is 20/20, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I don't know. The people who are still pro-vaccine now, I just wonder if they're ever gonna see. It's just it's to me it's like beyond the realms of possibility that this mRNA technology isn't causing significant damage.
Yeah.
And I think that the statistics that I did on it for the chances or the likelihood of this happening is like if I picked an atom anywhere in the known universe and either of you guys correctly guessed that atom, you get it. That's how unlikely this is.
It's
Yeah,
coincidence. It's just
Favorite word.
it's just coincidence with many zeros probability.
Yeah.
Basically, it's not like I was looking at the excess mortality again, and there was someone posted a chart of Australian excess mortality, and I swear you don't need to be a statistical genius to see what happened. You know, you've got the seasonal variation, and then there's a jump in 2021, and it carries on from a higher level. And you see it over and over and over again. You saw it in New Zealand. We still have excess mortality. Now, we're being told, we're being gaslit that the excess mortality is because of climate change, because of socioeconomic, because of whatever. But the power of these record level data sets is they say, no, it's not, the excess mortality isn't coincidence. We know exactly what's causing it. And the question of the batches, I remember it was the batch, if you have a uniform product which is safe, you don't get an outcome like you were seeing in the data where, 50 people turn up to a clinic and 20 of them are dead. I mean, it really does. It really does scream that it needs to be investigated. We saw other patterns too that, because of their actions, we never had a chance to go through. But I remember often it was like Russian roulette. The likelihood of death was very similar to the game of Russian roulette in some of the sites, and some it was worse than Russian roulette, like you were saying. In that side, and you can't explain that by chance. There's no bloody way. And and it's not just your data set. It's not like erasing you and your data set is going to change the finding, because it's, as we said before, we're seeing it everywhere. I'm seeing it in the fertility figures too. When you look at the birth rates, you have a long-term trend. And then 9 months after the rollout,
dropped.
It fell, and it's kept falling. And this is stuff we've been talking about for several years, and we're fanked with censorship, we're fanked with attacks. But at some point, humanity and our countries and even our officials are going to have to face what has happened. And I despair a little bit, because I see that they approved the mRNA flu jab the other day, the FDA. And something which is, they compared it not with a placebo, so we've got very few placebo studies, but they compared it against the so-called standard flu injections, and it was like 2-3 times more severe reactions, more deaths in the treated group.
They had 11 deaths compared to 4. 11. That's almost 3 times more deaths, sudden deaths in the mRNA group.
So the idea, Michael, is that in the past you'd expect a treatment to save lives. Yeah. Yeah. It used to be.
Silly me thinking things like that.
Before all this, actually it was the malaria vaccine, Moscovic.
Oh, I'm sorry,
before that, if you had more deaths, you would, that's awful. You would expect an effective treatment to save lives, not have more deaths. And in the last few years, we have now flipped to a situation where we're expected to tolerate the treatments that don't save lives. Treatments where they don't even bother to look but when you look at the studies, the Pfizer study, there are multiple now, ever since that 2019, 2020, the malaria vaccine. Marianne Demasi did a report recently on it, and it's like, it blows the mind. We should have less deaths if our so it's a very dangerous flip in thinking, and it fits with your theme of democide, Michael, because a society that accepts that the new treatment will kill more people than the old treatment, or no treatment is acceptable, and it's not.
It's been normalized. That's what I struggle with. They're trying to explain all this away. It's like, oh no, it's sudden adult death syndrome or sudden infant death syndrome. All these new things that have come along in the last few years, trying to normalize it and explain it away. It's like,
and when they can't,
if you've got a memory, you know that this has all just happened.
Yeah. It's just like all of our scientists become accordions. They're all baffled. Baffles everywhere. Baffled. There's a the thing I just want to go back to, like, we get censorship crazy, you know, the numbers up that, like, you know, only one old lady at home who can't switch off the internet is watching us, and you get here. But look at this. This is from this person's in Albania. One thing that will mess up the statistics is that here in Albania, most of us will say that they are vaccinated, but they are not, because hospitals gave the choice of putting it in your arm or squirting it down the drain. So I guess that was a pretty easy choice. So statistics will show one figure, but in reality, I have not met anyone else who actually had it. Unlike friends in the UK went along with it, now stage 4 cancer, other countries like this. But there's another person here saying the same. I had Dr. Robin Cosford on, and she was doing the statistics. And the Australian Bureau of Statistics does not include 2020 because not enough people died. So they remove it. And because if they put it back, then the excess death rate would be much higher, because 2020 would bring the standard death rate down. So what do? They removed an entire year. And if you look up that year, it goes 0 people died of the flu, because the flu thought, COVID's going to kill anyone. I'm going to Bali and having the year off. I mean, it's just absolutely fucking bonkers. And it's evil. This is the banality of evil, Barry.
Yes. Yeah, it
is what it is.
And the flu disappeared in 2021 in New Zealand. So it's just crazy where they get this stuff from. So, statistics, eh?
It reminds me, remember that cartoon we used to watch when we were kids? You used to have a big sheepdog and a coyote, and they used to log in, go, how you doing, Jim? Hey, and then they try to kill each other for the rest of the show, and then they'd log out. That's like COVID and the flu. You say, how you going? You know, just logging in, logging out. But another question here from the audience, and I'd be one of this too, that it's staggering how few people, even in New Zealand, have no idea about your case. This is how well they control the narrative. And in fact, I had a play on over here. It was a play with a boy with myocarditis, and he was played by a New Zealand boy whose wife was a scientist. And when he was here doing the play, he said to me, why are we doing vaccine injury? I'm from New Zealand, and everyone there was really happy with it. And what I thought was, this guy's not ignorant, but obviously his Instagram feed or his X feed simply the algorithms do not let him see anything negative about the vaccine. And the MSN, he doesn't see anything there. And obviously around him, his world keeps it quiet. But during the filming of during the recording of the play or the performance of the play in rehearsals, I remember he went, my girlfriend's in hospital. She's 22. She's had a stroke. And we said, you should go. And he said, no, I'm sure if she'll see her, she'll ask me to go. I remember going, she's 22 and she's had a stroke. That's all you need. And I actually wondered if he was processing like a wake-up moment. Oh, my God. Here I am doing a play about this boy. And what was really interesting in the play, the actors finally quit it. They just wouldn't do the lines because none of their friends would come to see it. Even though it had real good reviews, they would not come to see it. And I don't think it was just because of me, but there's a truth that they just don't want to have an audience with.
Yeah.
It is safer to stay in the lie.
It
You know,
is.
I don't know.
And we live in an echo chamber because of the algorithm on X and Facebook and whatever
100%.
just feeds us what we want to know. But if you
Yeah.
talk to people, you know, you've got to get out and make the effort. Talk to the kids, and the kids I've spoke to lately, they all know someone who has some problem, heart problems, or
Yeah.
strokes, or cancer, or something
Yeah.
like that. You know, they
Yeah.
all know. And I remember as a kid, I didn't know anyone who had a heart attack who was my age.
As a
When
kid,
I was
no.
younger, you know, as a kid, it just never happened. But now it's, and I'm just wondering, are they just going to accept that as their
Yeah.
future from now? And this is all going to be just, oh, well, we're all going to
We
get
had a
heart
person
attacks
put a-
now, 12 years old, whatever.
It's
We
one
had
of
a
the
person
most.
put a comment on the other day. Sorry, Paul. And his comment was, "Is there anyone watching who doesn't know anyone who's dying of turbo cancer?" And no one replied. So everybody watching the show knows someone who's dying of turbo cancer. This is unprecedented. And cancer used to take years. People would get it. Like, we were so well versed. If you said, "I've got cancer," you'd go, "Oh, where is it?" "Oh, you know, it's leukemia." "Okay, you know, there's cancer. It's in my lymph nodes." "Okay, yeah, they do good stuff." And then they go, "Oh, it's pancreas. It's in my pancreas." And you go, "Okay, yeah, well, you got to be positive, because it's a death sentence." And that was how we spoke about cancer. We knew, but now it's just people turn up going, "I've got stage 4 cancer. I didn't even know. I went to the hospital doctor. I had a funny feeling. I've got stage 4 cancer." I mean, it's just terrifying. Even the unvaccinated is happening to them. I know unvaccinated people who are dying within a week or 10 days from being diagnosed in the grave. I mean, it's terrifying. And yet, here we are.
We can't
Sorry, Paul.
normalize. We can't normalize this stuff. I was practicing for decades, and the times that you saw a young person die suddenly in their bed, or on the soccer pitch, or on the football field, these were rare events. I'm not saying that they never happened,
Yeah.
but Blind Freddie could see all the people collapsing at the interviews, at the different sporting events. It was a pandemic of sudden death.
Yeah.
Died suddenly became a new thing, and we're expected to just accept. Oh yeah, young people get cancer, young people die suddenly, and it's insane. It's insane
In their
because
sleep.
we can't tolerate. You can't tolerate this,
No.
and it is a clear sign that something. To your point, Barry, about yes, we're in an echo chamber electronically, but I have been doing the Forest of the Fallen for some time now, and over the last couple of years, the number of crazy, "It saved 100 million lives, safe and effective," and they run off. They're becoming the rarity, and the people who are coming up to us and going, "Oh yeah, I got the shot, had a stroke, or I had cancer, or I'm getting treated for cancer." That happened on Sunday. Rosie interviewed a man who was really quite unhappy that he had these health problems. The cancers are very real. I see it in my friends and in my family directly. I was seeing it in real time. We can't. There's no way we can just accept this and tolerate the excess deaths. The excess deaths, we can't ignore it. The drop in fertility. We can't just accept.
We can't stop now.
We can't normalize.
And the number of hospital admissions as well has gone through the roof. I was just saying earlier.
Yeah, you were.
There's just
Hey,
crazy.
brother.
The statistics in New Zealand, Auckland Hospital, 177 admissions for severe acute respiratory issues last week
Yeah.
alone. 170. It's 5 times more than peak COVID, and this is possibly because the mRNA destroys your immune system.
Yeah, that's
There's
right.
a lot of studies saying that it does interfere with the way your antibodies work and your basic immune system. It just sidelines it, and it's being replaced by a vaccine, a so-called vaccine, and it's just so our immune system is
While you said
it's
that, I'm thinking
not
of
what it
the
was.
Influsiva trial. They used what they call PCR defined influenza. So you had to get the positive PCR test and some symptoms which a grab bag that we consider flu. And but part of the problem with these shots, which are meant to prevent respiratory infection, is that even if they lower the symptoms of the particular pathogen, I'm thinking of influenza here, people end up more sick. They still end up getting sick, but from measuring
things.
and other infections, which are just functionally just the same or worse. So they limit, even in the study, this is my point, they limit it to this very well-defined, if you get this PCR test, we don't know what the cycle threshold is, we don't know what they were testing for, but if you get this particular defined thing, they're saying that's good. And they don't care if it makes people sicker. It doesn't, they don't care if they're multiple times likely to end up in hospital from other respiratory illnesses, just not that one particular thing. And it's insane, because this is what PCR allows you to do.
That's incredible, isn't it? Absolutely incredible.
And just a great comment here. Look, I'm bringing this up. So Kate is in Denmark. She knows of 5 deaths, and right now with 8 with cancer. This is absolutely not normal. So we're hearing it from Albania. We're hearing it from from Austria or Denmark. So New Zealand.
Yep.
I mean, this is the Western world now. I know in Ireland, it's happening in Ireland. I've got relatives there. They say it's happening.
Yep.
This is, everyone knows it. It's staggering.
Well, I think mRNA technology it's geared up to set your body up against itself, is my interpretation of it, because it causes your body to create these spike proteins itself. So the body creates the spike proteins, which the body then attacks. So it's basically your body teaching itself to self-destruct.
Yeah.
And that will not end well, ever, if you're doing that with the human body. And the mRNA technology, I mean, DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, these are the building blocks of life itself.
Yeah.
This is fundamental stuff. This is like an atomic level of how we are put together. And if we are tinkering with that stuff, exactly, it's a code of the universe. It's like how we are built. If we are messing with that, we are not God. We do not play God.
But they're like apprentice gods. They think,
we broke
in and now we can screw all this. We're apprentice gods.
100 years in, evolution has had 4.5 billion years on Earth. We've had like 100 years in it. Where we know better than Mother Nature. Let us have a crack at it. Sure, we can fix that. No, it will never end well. It will never, ever end well. So,
and now we're doing
just
penguins.
Too naive and too arrogant, I think.
We're vaccinating penguins with the shit. Penguins.
That's right, the bird flu.
Antarctic waters. They've 60 million years on the planet. They're only tiny. Yep. They've survived killer whales, tiger,
but not Pfizer.
Those seals, all these things. Basically, in the water, they're like a swimming chicken nugget. Everything in the water wants to eat them, and they've survived all of that. And now, basically, here we are going, oh no, you need us to get you through this, and we're going to give them 2.
That's
I saw them
arrogant.
actually in Victoria now. There's a huge line outside Dr. Borschos's thing. They're hoping to get exemptions. I haven't heard that they closed him down. So if you want the fairy penguins, go to where's he live? What's that town he lives for? There was a doctor over here who handed out exemptions on one day. Whoever turned up, he didn't tell anyone. The next day, he had about 5 or 6 people. On the 3rd day, he had a mile-long line outside his clinic, and then the police came and shut him down. He's an absolute hero, like yourself. Very quiet, very unassuming, but incredibly brave. Dennis Borschos. So that's where all the penguins are now.
feel sorry for
Sorry
the
to laugh.
penguins.
It's just, I've got
But
mental.
you
if I
said-
go
Oh,
on.
it's just ridiculous. Humans are just ridiculous.
the sort of insanity that's going on, with the culture. I think it's related to the psyop, all the lockdowns, all the deprivation, all the coercion, all the propaganda, all the fear porn. But because there's still people who believe that vaccines are it's become like a religion, and religions don't need proof. They're articles of faith. And that's why they look. I think you described this on one of your interviews, Barry. That it's like holy water or a crucifix to a vampire.
To a vampire, yeah.
It burns.
The
It
dawn
burns.
and a-
Because it goes in variance to their religion, and they literally can't see it because and this is why no amount of data is they need an exorcism. They don't need data. They need an exorcism.
That's what we should do, Paul. We should go down to the beach in tuxedos. That's hilarious. Yeah. Do you know there was? I'll never forget this. In a town called Portland in Victoria, the Uniting Church had a huge banner on the side of it which says, "Jesus wants you to get the jab." We waited 2,000 years for that message. Jesus wants you to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just how they incorporated everything in. The propaganda was unrelenting. I was telling someone today, we turned up in some towns and they said, this is a vaccinated town that have banners everywhere. It was just, and I think, and I saw this theory, which was really interesting. It was based on something that's, who was that Danish guy with the Danish, Desmond, Matthias Desmond, said that there was a study done on humans in America before COVID. And it said what they were missing was purpose. They had no purpose to their lives. They were just working, paying bills, and the like. And then suddenly, Big Pharma comes along and says, "Hey, the wrath of God is here. Big Pharma, this COVID, it's going to kill us all. But if we come together and we fight, and we all take this, we can defend ourselves against the wrath of God." And so people join. Come on, save your grandmother. That's what they went to kids. Take a shot, save your grandmother. It can't hurt you. But but and this is what they did. And so people suddenly go, I've got a reason to live. I'm risking my life to save other people. Suddenly they have purpose, only to find out they've been betrayed. They never had purpose. It was all bullshit. And that must be very hard to come back from. Not only were you betrayed, but they gave you what you were desperately missing. So you've got to find out, yes, I was betrayed. I feel like an idiot. And now I've got to give purpose back. And I've got to go back to my purposeless life.
But that's cognitive dissonance, isn't it? This is cognitive dissonance. This is like they know they've been lied to, they've been blue-pilled, but they absolutely refuse to acknowledge it or do anything about it. And to your point about the Jesus needs you to be vaccinated thing, I couldn't believe Fauci's hubris when he said he vaccinated Santa Claus. I thought, my God, and he said it with such conviction on CNN. Oh yeah, I went to the North Pole.
Well,
I vaccinated Santa Claus. It's like, I know. He's just such a good pathological liar. And yet people will still say, "Oh, why are you bothering him?" Let's move on. No, the guy is pure evil. The guy's a psycho.
The guy who might get a year in jail. He killed billions of people. He might get a year in jail.
We don't know how many.
And yet with parole.
Yeah. And then you had the whole thing with AIDS. He's responsible for that as well. So, AZT, giving people huge doses of something which is completely toxic to them.
Yeah, a bit like remdesivir.
Still, I know. It's just a.
I actually wonder,
we still
how did we become
worship
the
him.
dominant species on this planet? There's surely, the cockroaches seem so much cleverer than us. Even rats seem cleverer than us. I mean, how did we become the dominant species? I mean, seriously,
That species kills its own like that.
Yeah, 100%. But here's where we are.
Michael, I remember people calling me during the pandemic, and they had loved ones or they were in intensive care, and they were describing the intense coercion that they were being put under
Yeah.
to take remdesivir. It was like it kept coming back and coming back like it was this is, and we know now, and we knew before actually that it was toxic, and it was the best thing for some of them to actually get out of the hospital and take non-toxic treatments
Yes.
but we had a system that became toxic, that the healthcare system became toxic, and I don't know how we can move past it without facing whatever it is. I mean, like at the moment with the fertility, there's some question about how bad was the hit to fertility. What was the exact number for the first trimester, which is very hard to lock down. But there's very little doubt that there was at least a doubling.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
A doubling of infertility. So this is crazy. This is the future of the species, and it can't even lift itself off the head. Our leaders to think, people are dying at an increased rate, and because you can monkey with the baseline, and the excess depends on the baselines. You bring it up high enough or low enough, you go, oh, that's normal. It's
rebasing them. The annoying thing is, my previous role before I took involuntary retirement was that I was responsible for the Oracle Data Warehouse, which was the Health New Zealand. I don't know if you know what a data warehouse is. It's a big repository for a lot of different data sets. And one of the data sets was the maternity data set, which records all this stuff about miscarriages, stillbirths, prenatal deaths, all that sort of stuff. I know that they record this, and I know that they look at this data, but I raised an OIA asking for some information on this, and I just get denied. Even though I know it exists, they will stonewall and block access to this data. So it's like, it is very frustrating, because these people who are looking at it, you've got to imagine what are they thinking? Are they just doing the job, and at the end of the day they just go home and they don't see that these are lives, and they don't see how it's changing over the years. They don't plot those graphs, they don't interpret them, they don't see what's actually happening. And I know that they do a lot of the stuff with the adverse events for the CALM database, the Centre for Adverse Reactions to Medicine in New Zealand. I know that there's very good data on this, but for what purpose? Who does it serve? Do they all just sit around in a big circle jerk and just like they get off on it or something like that? I don't know. It's beyond me. If they can see it, and I know that they do, they record it, why don't they do something about it?
Do you think, and I use this, there are certain things, moments that people say. I remember early on when I was just coming up to thinking, there's something stinks here. The waking up period where you're putting it all together and your critical thinking goes, it doesn't make sense, mate. And I remember my father, I'm in Perth now, I'm with my dad, and I remember calling him because he goes for a walk every morning, and people have heard this, I'm sorry. But I said to him, what do you think's happening? And he just said, I think they're trying to cull us. And that was before the vaccine reached the shores. And I think it's absolutely spot on. I actually believe we're in a cull, and they've done it in a certain way to make it like a business. So a lot of the people who I know who are seriously vaccine injured, literally, they've spent well over $100,000 trying to get better. Where's that money go? You know what I mean? BlackRock owns all the funeral parlors, or is buying up all the funeral parlors. So they're making money. So not only are they doing it, but they're reaping the rewards of it. I think it's at that level. I actually believe that it's not an evil act originally. I think there's some very, very, very powerful people who said, look, there's too many people on the planet. We can't fix it with democracy. We can't fix it with this. Let's cull them all, make a load of money, and eventually, once they're gone, we'll have less people, and then we can control them. a plan like that behind it. I've written a play called, anyone wants to read it, Apprentice God, get in touch, interview with an apprentice God, that's my belief. And that makes it even more evil because they really believe what they're doing. They've already come to terms with the fact that they're going to kill a load of people. It's going to be a horrendous act, but they've made peace with it because they can see their dawn is a planet with far less people. And to be honest, a lot of people I meet, they got some, you know, sort of not always a bad idea. Anyway, I just won't go there. But what I'm saying, this is what we're up against. And I just wish people would realize it, no matter how you look at it, how you turn it over, that's like one of the only theories that makes sense. And that it's a time to fight. You, like yourself, Barry, Paul, everyone we meet, everyone is here now as a child of God. I really believe that. You have a right to be here. You have a right to fight for your existence. And I think that's what, I just wish people would do that. And not just like that Dylan poem, do not go gently into that good night. It's not a good night, you've been murdered. But that, rise up, do something. But online they're doing it. Online people are vicious and getting angry about it. Anything MSN posts, everyone goes bullshit. I haven't met one single person who goes, I think it's a really good idea to vaccinate the Perry penguins. Everyone goes, what the fuck? You know, so it's out of this. But the leaders, I mean, I don't know if anyone saw, but Spain just arrested one of their great, very famous media people, I don't know, singer, or didn't take it. Spent money, didn't have to take it, and they found out. And there's all these people in their upper echelon. New Zealand has apparently got 11,000 people in the upper echelon who didn't take it because COVID was so bad, you know. But
health workers, exempt. I didn't have to take it. I wasn't told to take it.
Wow,
and that was one of the oddities about it, because everyone was saying Health New
working
Zealand.
at McDonald's had to take it.
I know, that sucked, absolutely. And that's one of the things I completely disagreed with. It's like one rule for them, another rule for everyone else.
Of course, all
Health New Zealand was very lax about that. I was like, oh, we know you should get vaccinated, but let's not go there. Let's just leave that one. Put that one in a too high basket. Yeah.
Yeah, healthcare workers.
I was too important.
Everyone else does.
Yeah, I know.
That alone is almost more powerful than the data.
Yep. Yeah. 11,000 of them. Yep.
11,000. Yeah, that's right, Anne.
Scary, isn't it? Scary. Yeah.
Can I ask, how are you feeling now after all? Because there's a film out called Odyssey, but my life is surrounded by people who are going through odysseys, and you're on one of the major epic odysseys of this time. You've had your house broken into. They've put your life on hold. They've tried to besmirch you with everything they can. And at the same time, too, those who are in the know, and there's a lot, but those who are in the know, you're actually a living folk hero, and we worry for you because we know how dangerous these people can be. How are you coping with this and feeling from a daily basis?
My life is on a very strange trajectory since the 3rd of December 2023. But it's taken me into the stratosphere. I've met amazing people. I really have. And my life has been blessed, seriously, by guys like you. And, you know, there's so many beautiful, kind, amazing people out there who I would never have met if,
like Liz Gunn,
I hadn't done this.
What an amazing
woman. I was just going to say, Liz Gunn is probably responsible for us being here today.
Yeah, that's right.
And
if you
she's a beautiful
I love you. You're amazing.
I love you as well, Liz. I hope you're good. I really do. And she works so hard. She really does. And
I know.
Yeah, she's like New Zealand through and through as well. I feel for her. Amazing. But yes,
this is the time, right?
Thank you, Liz, from the bottom of my heart, for being here. I really appreciate it.
This is amazing. We love her.
And it was really dangerous what she did. It was dangerous what Paul did going over there. I mean, we know these people who are behind this are psychopathic. They do not care. You know, anyone who causes too much. Look at the strange deaths we've had of doctors who have been speaking out and, you know, who just sort of suddenly died. You know, I mean, I'm not saying people don't die, but we've had a lot of very questionable deaths everywhere in all the countries. You know,
I'm not feeling remotely suicidal or anything like that because life is too beautiful. But I really can't see anything like that happening. And if it does, then you'll know. You'll be the first to know. And I mean, it'll just be a self-fulfilling thing, won't it? It'll just, I don't want to dwell on it too much because it's like New Zealand is a beautiful place, and life is too beautiful to think about.
Yeah, I agree.
Things like that.
I have found a beauty. I found a love for life.
Yes.
In these last 6 years, I found a love for the planet and a love for life.
We are so rare in this universe. It's like, it's spectacular how rare we are as a species to be an intelligent species as well. It's just like, it's absolutely phenomenal. And the chances of us being here is extraordinary as well, because when you consider all the chances of our parents meeting and stuff like that, the chances of you being you and me being me are trillions to one. So every single day is a gift from God to be alive on this planet today. So make the most of it. And it's just absolutely wonderful. And I mean, it's been a great experience, I must say that. And there's a ton of stuff I can talk about with the court and the trial.
Have you written a book?
It's like it's ongoing.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Maybe write it in parts. I mean, if they're making you wait another 1,000 days, maybe that's it. Waiting for the trial, and then the trial is a separate book, like a.
I know it's 1,000 days next week, and it's probably going to be another 1,000 before the trial, if there is a trial. Now the thing is that the judge for the voir dire, which is the hearing, the whistleblower thing, which is like a separate trial, a trial within a trial. The judge for that case, I've got a really good feeling about him. And I've been to the court once or twice for many, many different call-overs and things. And my bingo card is almost full for all the judges at the Wellington District Court. There are quite a few. But this one guy, I have a really good feeling for. And I could be way off. I could be so off base with it. But I just sense something. You know, I feel a real empathy. My heart is like, I get this guy. I can see his soul. You know, it's hard to explain, but it's like I
get it.
And I do not envy him one bit. He's got the weight of the world on his shoulders. This is a world, the first case of its kind, not only in New Zealand but probably the world. The first case of its kind. And he put his hand.
You're the nuclear bomb, man.
He wanted this. I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet. I wish it wasn't.
No, you are. You're the data bomb. That's what you call the book.
This is
a
case. This is a case that is a precedent. It has never been tried before. It is unique to New Zealand. He wanted this. He put his hand up for it. But I can't imagine what he's going to be going through before he makes his decision. How many guys are going to be knocking at his door?
Yeah.
How many people are going to be having a quiet word with him?
Yeah.
What he's going to be going through. So he'll be feeling some real pressure, I imagine.
Yeah.
And until then, the way it's off, but a hand on heart, I have a really good feeling about it. And during the hearing, the voir dire, he was so keen to look at the data. And you know, the crucifix to a vampire thing, the prosecution absolutely refused, did not want to look at it, not one bit. But the judge was like, I need to see it. If you've shown it to the expert witness, the court needs to see it as well. That's process 101. And he was very keen to have a look at it. And we managed to show them a spreadsheet, which is a 2 million row spreadsheet. And because it's Excel, it can only show 1 million rows at a time. So we were struggling with that, but it was enough of him to see. And it was like on a big screen, you know, it was in the courtroom. We could all see it on the big telly, and he was scrolling through, and he was like, his eyes, I could just get that moment.
Yeah.
And I thought, fuck, he's got it.
Yeah.
He can see it. He can see it. And he was like, all right, stop there, scroll back. I want to see a bit more. He was looking at it.
Yeah. Yes,
And he
because
could
courts
see
are meant
this.
to
He
act.
could see this.
That's
Courts
Whether or
meant
not
to
it was
act.
just a show, I don't think it was. I think he was genuine.
yeah.
Yeah, they've got to
But yeah,
act based
I
on.
don't envy him.
They've got to act based on evidence, but as we know, a lot of what is going on is politics and
Yes.
and other things.
Yeah. Well, the New Zealand justice system, and I'm a firm believer of the rule of law, having come from the UK and that, and I thought we had the greatest justice system in the world. The English legal system that's been transported all over the world, the
Yeah.
empire and the Commonwealth. America uses it, the English common law, the basic legal system, the jury system. India, New Zealand, South Africa, Australia, all of that. I thought I was so proud of that. I thought this is a great gift to the world that we've given.
Yeah.
It's our legal system based on justice. You know, that the statue at the Old Bailey, the blindfold and the scales and the sword, all that resonates with me. I really believe in the rule of law. However, these last 1,000 days, I've seen a lot of things which I wouldn't have believed. I think a lot of the justice system, a lot of the players in the government and the justice system have been replaced by activists, political activists. They just following a script, following a narrative. And there are so many instances of them breaking their own rules, their own laws. And I'm talking about the prosecution here, the Crown itself, the Crown lawyers breaking rules, breaking laws. And it's so obvious and apparent. Got them like, this is the act, this is the section that you're not following. Either it's an Evidence Act or the Criminal Process Act, Procedures Act. They have done so many things completely wrong, and I've got them on this. There is so much evidence that they're doing that, and yet they just gone straight ahead and just ignore it. So the point is, if they themselves do not follow their own rules and their own laws, then why should we?
Yeah, I think cases like yours, Barry, are the danger for them is it's a test of the legitimacy of the system.
Yes.
You know, they can strike any individual down, but they can't do it without damaging or breaking the trust.
They
not
will.
just
They will. They're going to destroy an act of Parliament if they get their way. And this is the Crown. There's the Protected Disclosures Act. They've already hollowed out the Bill of Rights. The New Zealand Bill of Rights is basically a flypaper now, after what they've done with it through COVID. And it was meant to protect our rights as citizens, you know, to do with our bodies whatever we want, and, you know, free speech and all that. This Protected Disclosures Act is going the same way. If the Crown gets its way, it will become absolutely meaningless. So it doesn't matter if you're pro-vax, anti-vax, doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. This case will affect all New Zealanders who believe in protected disclosure. If they see something wrong happening in the workplace and they want to call it out, then this act is null and void. It will not apply because it will be absolutely destroyed. If the Crown wins this case, it will make the bar incredibly high, because the basic test was a reasonable person. It's like the reasonable test, which is a common law thing, really. It's all you have to to say for the reasonable belief test is if you look at this data as a reasonable person, not as an expert professor, not as an epidemiologist, just as an ordinary guy, an ordinary worker like me, if you see something wrong with it, that any other person would say, yep, there's something wrong with that. That's the test, essentially. It's a subjective test, but it's also objective in that you would have to assume any reasonable person would see the same thing. So it's subjective, objective, but the threshold is that it's just a common test. It's not an elevated expert professor epidemiological test. That's the difference. Now the Crown are saying the test needs to be way higher than what the Act intends. If the Crown does raise the bar to that level, the Act is destroyed.
Wow.
It's that simple.
When
And that's the way
you
they
see-
want it. That's the way they want it.
Yeah, you said about the Scales of Justice statue. Have you not seen the upgrade they've done to her? That doesn't give you any fear of the.
Oh dear. That's hilarious.
Doesn't. I just did that with Grok Imagine as you were talking.
That's amazing.
Look,
That's so cool. I was wondering what you were doing.
Yeah. No, I wasn't doing Tinder.
No, I like
It,
the statue of the knight on his knees with the shield and the sword, and he's on his knees, and beside him it says, "The devil laughed at me until he heard me say Amen." So you thought I was on my knees, but I was just praying. I was getting ready for battle.
I did a show with Richard Wollstonecroft called The No Goat Show for years. There was 4 of us. Very outspoken man, challenges everything, annoys everybody. He comes on now once every 2 weeks to do a show, and he talks about the evil in the world. And this man has run BDSM nightclubs and all. He's been everywhere. He's done everything, every drug you can think of, all this stuff. And what he said the last time he was on the show really floored me. And he said, there's only one hope in the world, and that's Jesus Christ. And I thought, if Richard can say that and absolutely mean it, and Paul knows him, this man, it doesn't, he likes shaking the cage. This is what I'm seeing. I did have a cross. The thing's broken. I don't have a Catholic or Anglican. I don't do any of that. But I am a definite Christian. And I see Christianity under attack all around the world. They're trying to remove the Christian God from everything. I think it's time that we borrow it a bit from our Muslim brothers and we start defending our faith, not to the point that we're shooting and killing people, but we defend it. When we see them coming out and doing something about attacking the faith, we actually go, no, out of order. And I really feel we have to see that as part of the core of our identity. I have a different idea about God, but I won't get into that. But I feel that we have to actually get our identity back. What do we stand for? And I think Christian fundamental values are a great thing to stand upon and start getting us back to a future that's more conducive to our souls and better to leave to the next generation. At the moment, we are mad. We are mad. There's a woman in America who killed her 3 kids, and there's all these women raising money for her like she's some poor victim. She murdered her children.
I know. And they're holding babies with blue faces up. So what is it with that? Like it's okay to kill your babies. In what world does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's really sad because what it is the babies are the future. And they're getting to a point now where around the world, these feminists are going, no, the past is more important than the future. So, and this is where we're at. And yet the rest of the world still breeding like rabbits. So we're in a very, very dangerous situation. And I think goodness, love, responsibility. I wrote a thing about that saying, if you want freedom, then you need to take the responsibility of freedom, which I think you've done, Barry. I know Oosterhouse has done. There's others doing it. I see a great hope in the podcasters rising up all over the world. They don't have $1 trillion marketing campaign. They've got a phone, and they get there and they say what they think. Young people, Celine Against the Machine, Two Worlds Collide, all these, and there's more coming up all the time. And I think this is it. This is humans rising up going, fuck this shit. Fuck this shit. And they're trying to understand it. They're trying to pierce through all the thick layer of lies that are around us. And that's how we're going forward. So I actually have faith that the people are going to rise, because I tell you something profound that happened to us, Barry, when I first started Cafe Lockout with Damien Richardson. And we were doing the show, and one guy said a comment that I've never forgotten. And he said he was a bird hunter, and that if he could get close enough to a flock of birds, because his gun didn't make much of a noise, he could shoot 10 of them, blow their heads off, and the others wouldn't fly. But once he got to about 10, obviously they looked around and said, let's get the flock out of here. They're gone. And I think this is what's going to happen to humanity. There's going to get to a point where people go, bullshit. My daughter just didn't die in her sleep. That doesn't happen. She was a Taekwondo gold medalist. Her heart was solid. They don't die in their sleep. Shane Warne did not have a heart issue. You know how we know? Because if he did, he'd be the clothes horse for it. If he could sell himself in any way to make a buck, he would do it. So if he'd had a heart issue, he would have been selling all the statins and everything else. He would have been the face of it. He didn't. He died. We killed him. We killed him. We killed one of our heroes, and then we made it especially evil that we didn't even let him die in the truth. You know, I remember a radio station where someone was going, oh, he definitely drank too much chamomile tea. That's what they said. And the other radio station's going, oh, yeah, well, you know, I've heard that herbal tea in great quantities can be dangerous. And they're here with madness. They're doing it in the movies. They're changing, Joan of Arc is now going to be played by a black woman. You know, they're coming up in England. They're trying to say that black people built Stonehenge in the schools. That's what they're trying to push through. Because as we know, the world is covered in huge monuments made by black people. So it's just, here we go. There's a madness. It's like they're trying to laminate a bullshit reality over us. And our only chance is this. We speak out, call it out, and say no.
I think it's getting close to that in the UK, the size of the demonstrations for Reform UK and all that lot. It's just mind-blowing, the amount of people on the streets. And the MSM will just lie about it. They say, oh, there's only 10,000 people turned up, and there was still a huge crowd. But there looked like 500,000 at least. When you see the streets of London just covered with people, it's like, oh, there's something going on now, right? Yeah. Something is definitely gonna happen, and especially with, the poor Henry Nowak case, that poor boy, that broke me. That broke my heart. To see that guy treated by the police, no less. Yeah. And they arrested him, and he was the guy that was stabbed. Yeah. It's like this is the reality that we're living in now, and it was just, oh my God. So we will, and that.
It just came out today. I hope it does. The police revealed today that they'd gone back through Henry's phone, like months and months and months, trying to find any racist comment.
Yes,
they can't find anything.
Yep, it's like what they've done with me. They've spent thousands and thousands of police hours and spent millions and millions of dollars, gone through God knows what, all my history and that. They've had access to my devices and whatnot.
Not bad, man.
And they haven't found a thing to say, oh no, he's a bad person. He's done this, that, and the other. No, they haven't found anything.
God, good luck if they went through mine. They go, why isn't this guy in jail? You see all this shit. It's like,
I didn't even have any traffic tickets or anything like that. It was they was under my bed, and when I went into the house, there was 8 of them all over the place, and the things that they in the loft. Look at all the dust and the cobwebs, and underneath, and every little nook and cranny, they were literally looking for dirt. I wonder
if they're watching tonight.
And
I bet they are. If you're out there, SWAT team that broke down Barry's door, you are a human being, and they will not look at the data. Attacking human beings, and you're attacking the man who was warning to try save you and your children and your children's children. And you smash down his door and treat him like a criminal. That's you. Wearing the uniform wearing all the weapons, wearing all the flak jackets, strutting around like you're John Wayne on steroids does not make you a hero. You know you're in the wrong. And if you go back in history, everyone who wears the black uniform, we saw that at the shrine. At the shrine, they were shooting us. They were not heroes. They were cowards with weapons. They were shooting people who were basically saying, we want to defend our freedom of choice on the shrine of remembrance, which is built on the blood of those who died so we would have that right. And they shot us. So this is where we're at. And people have to look in and go, who am I as a human being? Who do I align with? Human beings and the future of humanity, or these grubs, these psychopathic organisms that are decimating us? That's the choice.
Yep. And I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees.
100%.
And that's basically where I'm at.
I will say that during COVID, I didn't. One of my regrets is that, you know, because we couldn't travel, I've not met freedom groups from other countries, and if it wasn't for that call, I would have never gone to New Zealand. And I'm so glad I did. But then I came back, and it got released, and there was this shitstorm that happened, and I hadn't realized that we had a family holiday that had been booked a year in advance. I thought we were going to Hawaii. And I get back and discover that the family cruise is going straight to New Zealand. 2 weeks after I left, I'm heading back to New Zealand, and I had a lawyer say, "You shouldn't go back to New Zealand. It's a bit too dangerous." But I had a family holiday. I didn't even know what ports we were staying in. This ship hadn't been able to get to Wellington for weeks because of storms. So they couldn't even bring. It turned out that the ship dropped me at Wellington Port on the day of Barry's protest outside of the Parliament, and the bus from the ship took me straight in front of Parliament House, and I walked up there, and Barry was doing his, was talking with Andrew Brigden and Steve Kirsch and a group of supporters, and on the way back. I got it back on the ship, and I watched that documentary, River of Freedom, and I was so moved because I realized it was the same. It was one family of human family fighting this exact same, this exact same curse. So yeah, that was I've got chills because the improbability of all that.
The improbability factor. Yeah, it was a beautiful coincidence, wasn't it?
It's another one of those coincidences.
Yes.
A good one.
Attract them like flies.
I noticed them. I just noticed them. Yeah.
I wonder what the p-value of that was, Paul.
But
yeah, I remember when that happened. I was actually one of the ones that said, "Paul, do not go. They are going to throw your ass in jail, buddy."
And I didn't want to get back on the ship. I didn't want to get back on the ship with my family because I was having such a great time meeting my Freedom family in New Zealand.
Wow.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, that's Paul. That's
nice.
What it is. Look, Elizabeth Joy Thomas, a God incident.
God incidents.
God
Yes.
incident.
I like it.
That's
I'm gonna use
great,
that one.
Elizabeth. God incident. So that should be a new thing. Is there anything else you'd like to share, Barry? Because thank you for tonight, man. It's been a fantastic show. It's great to have you
thank you.
here. And just
It's a
in
pleasure.
awe of you, man. You are the perfect example of an absolute hero of humanity. I really do. Look, he lives in Wales. We've got Julie in Wales. I'm from Wales. She's the shit. We've got the whole world watching us. Of the 5 people that are watching us, they're all over the world.
Nice.
No,
Thank
that's
you.
our numbers. They tell us like no one's watching you, but everyone's commenting from all over the world. So, yeah. Is there? Sorry, I took that away. Is there anything else you'd like to share, Barry?
No, it's an absolute pleasure. My next court date is 20th of October at 2:15 Wellington District Court, and hopefully either then or before then, I'll find out from the judge if and when he's made his decision. And yeah, let's fingers crossed. And if he does find in my favor that I am a legitimate whistleblower, then the whole thing is off. I am granted full immunity. and it's a game changer. It is an absolute game changer. It should mean that all that evidence that I submitted to the court is then on record, and they should then have to be forced to look at it. So that is, these are interesting times. So yeah, let's just fingers crossed for that. And
It's like this
I'm
strange.
thinking that the chances it's gonna be something. If it does, either way, it's gonna be huge. I'll say that. Even if I'm not a whistleblower, then it goes to trial. Then it's gonna be another 1,000 days, and it's probably gonna be the longest trial in history in New Zealand. And that is when let the games commence. Bring it on. I'm ready for them, because they've done so many things not by the book, not according to the rules, breaking the law. So much stuff. And I will happily cross-examine them in open court with the public there.
I also want to call out to your wife for standing by you all this time.
Hi, Kathy. I know she's there watching me.
Yeah, hi, Kathy. Honestly, Kathy, I think you've done amazing. I mean, I don't know how you live with a guy. I couldn't. But honestly, he's just...
I know she does.
It takes huge strength and huge faith. So and your life was upturned too. You're probably happily doing your stuff, and then suddenly you're here there. So honestly, to you too, well, Kathy. Paul, is there anything else you'd like to say before we toddle off for the night?
I hope that the judge does do the right thing, and that this trial of suffering and lawfare comes to an end. I'm wearing my 832 shirt, and I pray the truth will set you free, and will set us all free.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Actually,
Thank
there's a
you.
video to play too. Sorry, finish, Paul. Barry sent a video. I've got it here. I'm here. Hey, Kathy, how you doing? I don't know how I live with him either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I had to lock the door for the bedroom. It's Kathy locked out.
What's the video about? 'Cause I had this toy. What's the video about, Barry, before we play it?
Oh, you mean the Thunderbirds Are Go? Yeah, I think it should be the national or the international anthem for the world. Actually, I think it's just an amazing, invigorating tune. And it's
I
a
do think
TV
your
show. I
current
used to
Prime
love.
Minister looks like a Thunderbird doll with the strings have been cut. The way he goes around.
He does.
I'll just play it here. Hold on. That's AI's version of Barry. Can you press the cut? Will it go up
Looks a
on your
bit
page?
grumpy, I think. I'll have to ask Kathy if I look like that normally.
It's not on mine. Just getting it up. The Thunderbirds, the little Thunderbird guy. Can anyone see it? I can't see it on my screen.
Nah. Technical issues.
One more time. Here we go. High tech here.
We're
Not
so
working,
professional.
sorry.
It's incredible how professional we are, even after all these years. We
If
just
only
more
the
and more-
government would give us some of the millions of dollars they're giving MSN.
Sounds like you need a
I'm
DBA.
actually going to go out. I'm going to go out. A lot of people don't like AI, but the Chinese have a different way of looking at AI. Instead of wanting to make super intelligence, a general artificial intelligence, they're trying to do narrow. So to make it a tool. So if it makes music, that's all it does is make music. They're trying to do it that way. That's what the Chinese are doing. I think that makes sense. And so I years and years ago, I used to watch this homeless man. I used to pass this homeless man late at night after coming back from a job I did. And he'd be sitting up on a cold bench seat with a quilt over him. So it was just covered. But the council made the seat that he couldn't lay down, the way they built the seat. And one night I got jack of it. It was so cold. So I got some bedding for him. I got a cot bed and everything. I went back and I sat with him for a few hours and chatted. And he told me the story that I'm going to play now of a car that turned up. And he was watching and the car got out and the car wouldn't let him. A dog got out and it wouldn't let him near the car. And then he kept wanting to go up to the car to see if they were okay, because he heard a child crying in the car, and then he realized it was the single mum in the car with a couple of kids, and he wanted to go up, but the dog kept him away. And I was so profoundly moved. I wrote a poem about it. The poem became a song, and now we've got AI video generation. Today I spent $30 putting the song into an AI video generator, and it's pretty silly. But what I think is this is where it is now, and I think this is a good song because the story's so simple to watch the evolution of video generation. So come back in a couple of months, the video will make more sense. So this is a world first. It's called a Q Library Lullaby, and this is it. Prepare to have a bit of a laugh, but this might be the start of something beautiful. But here it goes. But I want to say, Barry, in apps, I have interviewed a load of heroic people in this movement. Luke Sutton is another one from Drifter who I'm trying to get on, but loads. Liz Gunn, lots of New Zealanders around the world, and you are definitely up there, brother, with the cast of heroes. I'm in awe of your strength, in awe of your determination, and I truly wish you the best, and I hope God protects you and your wife and all around you. Hey, Kathy. Okay? And, okay, this is it.
Thank you, guys.
Get ready to laugh. In fact, you might want to go to the dunny first before you watch it, but here we go. I'll put it in the back. See you guys.
All right. See ya.
About 10:30, a sedan pulled up and parked beneath a car park's light. A rear door opened, a dog got out, and after sniffing around, it relieved itself. Then it sat near the front door, looked over at me, and it said unequivocally, I don't know who the hell you are, so don't even think of coming near this car. Q Library was closed, no, its books were asleep, dreaming alphabetically. But out here I heard a little baby cry, and then I heard another child join in. So I was gonna go over and ask, hey, are you okay? But their dog stood up and he glared at me. I don't know who the hell you are, so don't even think of coming near this car. Then a light flickered on, and there inside a young mom was trying to soothe her kids. But because it was cold or because it was night, I heard them both continue to cry. Then all alone in that lonely car, I heard her sing a lullaby. Then all alone in that lonely car, I heard her sing them a lullaby.
Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Daddy's gonna buy you a mockingbird. And if that mockingbird don't sing, then Daddy's gonna buy you a diamond ring. And as I listened to her sing, I pulled my head into my sleeping bag. Amidst the sweat and the stubborn stains, I found my mom and heard her sing. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. Daddy's gonna buy you a mockingbird. And if that mockingbird don't sing, then Daddy's gonna buy you a diamond ring.
Then when the morning broke again, I found that they and their car were gone. And I have to say it was very strange for me to sleep this long. But as I packed up my bed and bags, I could still hear her song. I guess like her kids, I must have drifted off. I guess like her kids, I must have drifted off.